You know that feeling, right? Staring at the ceiling at 1 in the morning, just wondering, why can't I just fall asleep? If you've ever been there, trust me, you are in good company. It's one of the most common struggles out there.
It's such a frustrating question, isn't it? I mean, we know we need sleep, we know we want to sleep, but when the time actually comes, our brain just seems to have other plans. Well, the answer is pretty fascinating, and it all starts when we begin to see our minds in a totally new way.
So what if we stopped thinking about our brain like a computer that we can just shut down? What if instead we started seeing it for what it really is, a vast, wild, living, breathing neural jungle? Seriously, understanding that jungle? Well, that's the key to everything.
Okay, so let's start by mapping out this incredible terrain. Just imagine for a second that your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, they aren't just these abstract things floating around. Nope, they are actual physical trails, streams, and clearings in this dense, living wilderness that's right inside your skull.
Now, the big sciencey word that makes this all possible is neuroplasticity. But don't let that term scare you. All it really means is that your brain isn't set in stone. It's constantly changing, growing, and rewiring itself based on what you do and what you think. It's the living, breathing ecology of your mind. Every ecosystem has rules, right? And our neural jungle is absolutely no different. If we can just learn to understand these basic laws, we can finally start working with our brain, instead of feeling like we're constantly fighting against it. This right here, this is the first and honestly the most important law of the jungle. Every single time you do something or think a thought, a specific chain of neurons fires up. The more you do it, the stronger that connection gets. You are literally, physically carving a path through the undergrowth of your mind. This explains that whole use it or lose it thing perfectly. A habit, say scrolling your phone every night before bed, becomes this cognitive superhighway. It's wide, it's paved, and it's absolutely effortless to travel down. Your brain just takes this road automatically. But on the flip side, a skill you don't practice anymore, that becomes an overgrown trail, slowly getting reclaimed by the jungle. And this isn't your brain failing, it's just being incredibly efficient. And just like any real jungle, our brain has its own weather system, and it's all driven by neurochemicals. Dopamine, that's like a warm, rewarding sunbeam that makes you want to do something again. Cortisol, on the other hand, is like a stress storm. It just washes away any new fragile trails you're trying to build. And then you've got BDNF, which gets a nice boost from things like exercise, and that's the fertile rain that helps everything in the jungle grow stronger.
So if we want to get to sleep, why do we keep getting lost? It's because our jungle is already dominated by some really unhelpful, but very, very well-maintained night trails.
Let's look at the usual suspects. First, you've got the trail of the glowing pond. That's our screens, right? Just providing that endless, stimulating stream of dopamine that keeps us totally wired. Then you might wander into the ravine of rumination, where stress hormones like cortisol are screaming at your brain that it needs to stay on high alert and solve every problem in the universe right now. And of course, so many of us get stuck on the plateau of productivity, always chasing that one last rewarding hit of finishing one more thing. And here's the crucial point, okay? Struggling with these habits does not mean you have weak willpower. It just means you have some really efficient, well-paved roads in your brain that happen to lead away from sleep. The force of habit is a real, physical thing. Okay, so that's the problem. How do we change it? How do we forge a brand new path that leads exactly where we want to go? Well, it's time to pull out the map and make a plan.
You can't forge a new path if you don't even know the terrain. So the first step isn't to do anything, it's just to observe. Become a map maker of your own mind. For a few days, just notice, without any judgment, what triggers you to take those old, worn-out trails. This little act of mapping your jungle is absolutely essential.
The key here is to not try and clear a whole mile of jungle in one day. That's just exhausting, and honestly, you're just setting yourself up to fail. Instead, you have to focus on the power of tiny little steps, small, continuous improvements. Just start by trying to get into bed 15 minutes earlier. That's it. Every small win gives you a little hit of dopamine, which reinforces that new path and makes you want to walk it again. A ritual. A ritual is how you pave your new trail. By repeating the same sequence of actions every single night, you create this powerful chain of associations in your brain. A digital sunset, for instance, gets rid of that stimulating blue light. Tidying up your space gives you a sense of closure on the day. And gentle reflection, that helps you avoid falling into that nasty ravine of rumination. Each step is like a signpost, and when you do it enough, the whole sequence becomes an automatic superhighway to sleep.
A smart trailblazer also knows how to work with the environment. Getting some bright sun first thing in the morning, that sets your internal clock for the entire day. Dimming the lights in your house as it gets later signals to your brain that it's time to wind down. And getting some exercise during the day releases that wonderful brain fertilizer, BDNF, making your whole jungle healthier and more ready for new growth.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the long game. Because this isn't about some one-time fix. It's about shifting your whole mindset, from being a frustrated wanderer who's lost in the woods to becoming a patient, thoughtful gardener of your own mind.
You will have nights where you end up back on the old trails. It's just going to happen. But the most important thing is not to see this as some kind of personal failure. It's just ecology. Those old paths are strong and resilient. So when a setback happens, just notice it, be kind to yourself, and get right back on your new path the very next night. No big deal.
And that's what this all comes down to. You're not some helpless victim, lost in the wilderness of your mind. By understanding how your brain actually works, by understanding neuroplasticity, you become the active cultivator. You're the trail guide. You are the gardener. You have all the tools you need to shape your own mental landscape. So the only question left is this. What new path are you going to start clearing tonight? It doesn't have to be some huge project, just one tiny little step. What's it going to be?